What if the reason nothing is working isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because something inside you is quietly blocking everything, right? There is a specific type of exhaustion that comes from doing everything right and getting zero results. You are checking every box, you are following the proven roadmap, and you're working late into the night, yet you are hitting a wall that shouldn't be there. It feels like you're screaming into a vacuum. You've been told that if you just optimize your strategy, fix your LinkedIn, or master the latest sales funnel, the breakthrough will come. But it hasn't. This isn't a strategy problem, and it's not a lack of hustle. In fact, more hustle might actually be making it worse. It's a frequency mismatch. Most people in the professional world today are trying to drive a Ferrari with the parking brake fully engaged. Your energy is that brake. Until you release it, no amount of hard work is going to move the needle. You are experiencing the silent, sealing a barrier you can't see, but one that is effectively capping your income, your impact, and your peace of mind. Think about the last time you saw someone walk into a room and instantly command respect without saying a single word. They didn't have a better strategy for walking into a room than you do. They had a different internal signal. In high-performance circles, we understand that how you do something is always secondary to who is doing it. If you're operating from a state of frantic desperation, that is the signal you're broadcasting to your boss, your clients, and your network. You can have the best SEO in the world, the most polished pitch deck, or a resume that looks like a work of art, but if your nervous system is stuck in what we call a scarcity loop, you will subconsciously repel the very opportunities you're working so hard to attract. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but people don't actually buy what you do. They buy the energy you bring to the task. This is the strategy myth that has been sold to the American workforce for decades. The idea that tactics are the ultimate lever. We are obsessed with growth hacks and productivity systems. But strategy is a multiplier, not a foundation. If your strategy is a 10 absolute perfection, but your internal energy is a 2, your total result will always be a 2. You cannot out-hustle a misaligned internal state. When you are in a scarcity loop, your brain is literally in survival mode. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of you responsible for high-level creativity and strategic thinking, shuts down. You become reactive rather than proactive. You start as making safe choices that keep you invisible because your energy is focused on protection rather than expansion. You might be putting in 80 hours a week, but if those hours are fueled by the fear of being found out or the dread of failure, you are essentially spinning your wheels in deep mud. We see this play out in the data of the modern workplace. Research into professional burnout and peak performance shows that high achievers who focus solely on tactical output without managing their internal state reach a plateau within 3 to 5 years. They hit a ceiling that no promotion or raise can break through, because the ceiling isn't in the building, it's in the basement of their own psychology. To break the silent ceiling, you have to stop looking at your calendar and start looking at your signal. You have to understand that every interaction you have is an energetic exchange. If you are sending out, "Please pick me" energy, the world will treat you like an option, not a priority. The 1% shift begins when you realize that your internal state isn't just a byproduct of your success, it is the prerequisite for it. We are going to deconstruct the specific leaks that are draining your power right now. Because once you identify the leak, the ceiling begins to shatter on its own. The reason most high achievers remain stuck isn't because they've lost their talent. It's because they are leaking power through 4 specific psychological drains. The first, and perhaps most common in the US corporate and creative landscape, is the performance mask. This happens when you spend more energy pretending to be an expert than actually becoming one. You are so focused on the optics of success, perfect social media presence, the corporate jargon, the busy aesthetic, that you've lost touch with your actual craft. This creates a massive internal friction. Your brain knows you're playing a character, and the constant fear of being unmasked creates a low-level anxiety that eats your creativity alive. You aren't working. You're performing, and performance is exhausting. The second leak is industry resentment. This is a slow-acting poison. You might be good at what you do, but if you secretly hate the game, despise your competitors, or feel cynical about your industry, you are broadcasting a stay away signal. You cannot attract abundance from a place of contempt. When you resent the very field you're trying to conquer, your work becomes heavy. It lacks that effortless spark that draws people in. You're essentially trying to win a race while carrying a backpack full of stones. This resentment often manifests as procrastination or creative blocks, but in reality, it's just your subconscious trying to protect you from a world you've decided is toxic. Then there is the visibility tax. This is the subconscious fear of what happens when you actually succeed. In the US, we love a success story, but we also love to tear them down. Many professionals hit a plateau because deep down, they are terrified of being seen. They fear that more visibility means more criticism, more responsibility, or a loss of privacy. So they subconsciously self-sabotage. They forget to follow up on a major lead. They undersell themselves in meetings, or they keep their best ideas in a notebook. They are paying a tax to stay small and safe. Until you decide that your mission is more important than your ego's need for safety, you will keep yourself locked under that silent ceiling. Finally, we have the comparison trap. This is the act of trying to run someone else's race. You see a peer who is 5 years ahead of you, and you try to mimic their chapter 20 while you are still in your chapter 2. This creates an immediate energy drain because it isn't authentic to your path. You're trying to adopt their habits, their tone, and their goals, but because those things aren't rooted in your own why, they feel like a chore. You are chasing a version of success that doesn't even belong to you. When you operate from this place, you aren't innovative. You're a derivative. And in a global market, derivatives are cheap. Innovation, however, requires the energy of authenticity, the one thing you can't have if you're constantly looking at the lane next to you. The solution to the silent ceiling isn't more effort, it's aligned momentum. When your internal state matches your external action, you enter a state of flow. In this state, work doesn't feel like a struggle. It feels like an inevitability. You need to perform an energy audit. Start by identifying your zone of genius. Those rare tasks where time disappears and you feel more energized after doing them than when you started. Most of us spend 80% of our time in our zone of excellence, things we are good at, but that drain us, and only 20% in our genius. You need to flip that ratio. The 1% shift begins with 3 radical steps. First, remove one energy leak. This isn't about adding a new habit. It's about stopping a draining one. It might be checking emails at 6 a.m., or it might be that one client who makes your stomach knot every time their name pops up. Cut it. Second, reconnect with your why. If your only goal is more money, your energy will always be shallow. Money is a result, not a fuel. Find the contribution you are making to the world. Finally, shift from a taking mindset to a contribution mindset. When you walk into a meeting thinking, "What can I get from this?" your energy is predatory and repels people. When you think, "How can I add value here?" your magnetism skyrockets. On a scale of 1 to 10, how aligned does your current work feel with who you really are? Be brutally honest. If you are a 4, no. Strategy is going to save you. The stuck feeling you have right now isn't a failure. It's a compass. It is telling you that you are building a career that might look good on paper, but it's killing your spirit. The 1% shift is choosing to prioritize your state over your stats. What is the one thing in your career you secretly know needs to change? Not the thing your boss wants changed, or the thing your parents want changed. The thing you know. Comment that below. Let's start the process of shattering that ceiling together. Because once your energy is free, the success you've been chasing will finally have the space to find you.